Your conference is being recorded.
All right, we are recording, Ken, and
Okay.
so let's dive right in. And actually, let's start with a question just about your company. What should readers know about your company?
So in general, or as it relates to this, very specific to this topic?
In general, and then we'll go more specific.
I think, Joe, you know that MRE's 23-year-old professional services firm that has been very focused for all those years in the energy and commodities trading space, and over the last, we'll call it 5 to 6 years, has expanded into new lines of business, into new industry, and that's been very exciting times for the company and been one of the reasons why, for the topic of our conversation around IT revenue generation, actually the opportunity presented itself because of that new growth and expansion as a company.
Perfect. Yeah, let's talk about, let's get more specific in the context of this topic on revenue generation. And there's, in your email, I don't have to hew too much of the letter lobby. You did have very good concrete points here. The first is the internal tool, the partnership with marketing and retail about the mobile app, and then finally the presentation about moving beyond the firewall. So we'll cover those in succession, but first let's talk about the context in which all those moves were made. Let's talk about what was the culture, the strategic direction, the focus from your peers within the organization on revenue generation, specifically within IT, because as you know, it's not always the first step that CIOs make for many different reasons, but in your organization it was. So what's sort of what the culture shift was the impetus?
Yeah, it was almost by accident. It wasn't necessarily a thought that was there today going, hey, IT is gonna go figure a new way to generate revenue for the company. It came about through an internal need, supporting the 200 plus consultants in the work they do, and anytime they were down from a technology perspective, that was potentially lost revenue. And we didn't ever want to have that situation. So prior to my arriving, some members of the team had taken it upon themselves to generate a tool that could help them proactively monitor some of the situations that would cause these outages so that we could get them fixed with minimizing the downtime. And but it was never a thought that this could ever do anything more than just help us be better at what our core business was. And even from an executive leadership, the idea that IT would do anything more than keep the lights on had not been really thought of it, and it wasn't what we do as a business. We're providing technology, resources, professional services, people, management consulting out to our customers. It's not about IT building a tool that creates new revenue. And when I looked at it, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty neat when I started, and I said, I think there's bigger opportunity here. And one of the divisions we had started, a new practice line, was around managed services. So we were providing technology services to small to medium-sized organizations. We were their IT staff. We were managing their IT infrastructure. And I said, why don't we try out our tool with a couple of those customers for free to see if this has got any meat to it. So we put it in place for them, talked to a couple we had some good relationships with, and it proved valuable. We suddenly had increased the service levels and capabilities of what we were providing those customers. So then it came to saying, I think we could take this to market, and that's where the big journey started at that point. So it was a real culture shift to get us there, because we're not a products company, and to get IT to get executive leaders to think that way was very challenging, and actually still is challenging today, even though we've already taken the product to market. Continuing to make the investment and to think that we have a product is still challenging for some. So myself and the people who built it have barely been the figureheads, the spearheads, of if you will, of going out and pushing this, marketing this, and showing it off to because we ended up winning a CIO 100 award for it this past year.
Excellent. Congrats, Ken. And actually, what's it called, the tool?
The platform is called Audix Insights, AUDIX Insights.
Excellent. Yeah. So tell me about what problem does Audix Insights solve?
Yeah, well, it actually solves a lot of different problems, but it's really the core. It's about what we refer to as asset intelligence. It makes the discovery of data-driven insights that help us drive action. And if we look at the benefits, we have predictive analytics. We're increasing the efficiency and productivity around your IT operations. We're reducing annual hardware replacement costs. We're improving software license compliance. It's really reducing the cost to serve, and it's really taking the data you already have. We have some machine learning algorithms to help us analyze that data and make decisions in near real time in order to, again, help an IT group be more proactive, reducing our costs, reducing the run cost, and helping keep the critical infrastructure operational and minimize downtime. So, which again, think about it as it's really a tool to help us reduce our run costs, and hopefully then you're taking that and reinvesting it in your more transformational initiatives.
Excellent. Could you give me, if you feel comfortable, if not, that's fine, sort of a use case in which this was successfully implemented?
Sure. So one of our clients, I'll give you a couple. I could talk about it where we've used it actually in the for sale product, where they are running it currently in their IT organization, which is its main use. So a national restaurant chain was actually our first client on the full platform, and they installed it in over 2,000 for managing over 2,000 devices. But the driver for it was to monitor their point of sale systems and point of sale kiosks at their 180-something restaurants in 27 states, because they were having a lot of issues with the older point of sale kiosks that they had, and anytime one of those went down, that was lost revenue to the company. They couldn't service their customers, and customer would go some other place, and they never could recoup that. So they were using it to help. The primary driver was to monitor those so that their group could be more proactive in maintenance and servicing those kiosks to reduce potential outages and reduce the potential lost revenue that would come from having a point of sale system down at a restaurant that inevitably would go down right at the dinner rush. So that was their initial driver for it. Now they use it across internal servers as well, and switches and things at their corporate office, but its primary use case for them was to monitor the equipment that is out at their 100+ restaurants.
Great.
And then another great use case, we used it as a platform for an acquisition. Two large companies were merging, and we're helping them with the IT infrastructure consolidation. And neither company had a good view of what their real assets were, or what the health of those assets were. And we applied the tool for them to monitor their both environments for 60 days. And then we're able to come back and give them a true understanding of their assets, what the health of those assets were, and then they were able to use that in their consolidation efforts to better understand the environment, reduce the costs of consolidation, and understand what they needed to keep and what they needed to get rid of. But the ideal use case is someone running and managing their IT for their current IT operations. That M&A one was kind of a one-off, but it was a fun one.
Excellent. Yeah. Could you tell me about, Ken, the inputs that you basically and how it works in a nutshell? So the inputs that go into this app, this tool rather, what does the UI look like if you have one, or if it's a dashboard? I'd love to just get if I was going to use this, what would I do?
Yeah. So it's a agentless component that installs either is an agent that it can either install on a centralized server within your network, or it can actually be installed on individual devices. We recommend for laptop management, we install it on the individual devices. For all the rest of it, we use it in a centralized server. And basically, all the devices in there, if the agent's on it, they phone home. If the agent's not on it, the centralized server makes random calls out to those devices to collect event log data, software installation, system configuration data at various intervals throughout the day. All that goes to a centralized repository we have in the cloud. We use everything's on the Microsoft stack. And then from there, we have a online dashboard that we brand for our customers that utilize it. That has, there are probably 20 different panes of glass with driven from a centralized executive view, and then we can dive into the details of all of that, where we've taken all those data points, correlated those, and give you insights into what we're seeing. We also take for our customers on the executive dashboard a view into all of our customers. Now, I can't show customer A, customer B's data, but I could take all of the data across all of our customers, consult and look for trends and issues we are seeing, maybe with a recent patch from Microsoft that one customer is seeing but another isn't, and we can give predictive predictive analytics, and we can make recommendations. Say, hey, we're seeing this problem at customer A. We believe you're going to see this problem as well, and we do that through part of the alerts and notifications that come along with it. Then the machine learning inside it, which is decision tree based machine learning algorithm, takes a bunch of inputs that say this is what good looks like for the different types of machines. So a particular IBM server, as an example, this is what healthy looks like for a Cisco router, for a Linux. Pick your type of equipment, and we look for the anomalies. We look for the trends in the data we're collecting to say we believe this one is about to have issues, and then we send notifications, alerts. We bond in with the various ticketing systems to automatically create a ticket for the help desk to go and investigate and look into it. And then the help desk technician should provide feedback in the ticket about, yes, it was, the hard drive was failing, we fixed this, and that's the validation as part of the inputs that our algorithms are working. And then when maybe the algorithm said there was a problem and the technician looks and says there's not, that same feedback is coming back in and helping us refine the algorithms. When we first released it, before we fully went to market, when we were testing it out, we were hitting about 80% accuracy. Today we're in the 95 to 97% accuracy. When we say there's about to be a problem, we are 95 to 97% accurate.
Outstanding. What's a hypothetical or real example of, for example, a predictive I guess you would say marker? Like, in other words, what are some of the things that this can predict, and it has predict, or hypothetically could?
Disk failure is a big one for the predictive stuff. So by monitoring usage on the machine, the rates that the disk is read-writes, its performance of the I/O over time, in order to then compare that with similar data from other machines, to apply that and say, I believe the hard drive is about to fail. That is a big one. Or another big one is the collection of overutilization of a machine, where machine's about to is not performing at desired rates or peak because we are overutilizing the resources on there, and we need to come in and look at that, and how do we maybe reconfigure, add some additional disk space, or add some more memory or RAM related to that. Those are common ones. But that great predictive one that we see all the time on the predictive side is related to disk usage and disk failure.
Got it. So, hypothetically, the Mac SSDs in your organization are a bit more sturdy than the 3-year-old hard drives you have that are on the Windows platform.
Absolutely. Being able to sense, we're not having the issues on those solid state ones the way you've got those other spinning disks, and those are just not things that you've got a lot of different types of machines in your environment, and being able to understand it. We also bring the financials in of what does it cost to replace. And these are some of the things I love about it, from the pane of glass specific for the CIO or IT leader, that kind of gives me a view into compliance. And we say you have to have this version of your antivirus on all our machines, and such and such versions of different software, the OS, and combine that with cost to replace and when the warranty is expiring. So I have a great visibility into just what is my infrastructure costing me, and what is it going to cost me if I need it, and how compliant am I with our own internal policy? That's another component but we're pulling all that for real time. It's not like, yes, I said I installed such and such version and I kept it in a spreadsheet or an asset management database. I'm actually collecting it and updating it every day based on the real inputs that we collect from all the various equipment that we're monitoring, all the assets that we're monitoring with it. And we have location-based services, so I know where the machines are in the network. We have some stuff about when new devices show up on the network, and we have a report that shows one of the panes of glass. Anything that showed up new in the last 14 days continues to display there. It's a checkpoint for us to go, did we actually put that on the network, or did that just magically show up and someone's attached something from a hack or other things someone may have done in the company that wasn't supposed to, plug in their personal laptop? Just another way. And we have other tools as well that they're out there to help monitor that. But that's a really good one that we use as a double check to make sure that what's on our network is what we expect to be on our network, and only new things are things that we actually provisioned and authorized.
Great. And when you say pane of glass, is that a data output that a client would have?
The pane of glass, yes. So all of our clients who have it go to our portal for the platform, log in and get the pane of glass, which is multiple panes, but there's an executive view right up front, and then you can see everything from there going to the different ones. It's all done in Microsoft's Power BI, and then it's a branded portal for us, and we brand it for them. So when they go, or however people on their team go, they see their company logo and all their stuff about it. You can actually go to audixinsights.com if you'd like to see some of the marketing information stuff on the platform.
To be sure. When did you start this initiative?
So the product itself, from a development internally, started 6 years ago. But it wasn't until late 2016 that we started really trying it out with some of our customers, and it was in 2017 that we actually took it to market and started selling it externally.
Great. And, of course, you can always say prefer not to comment or not. Would you want to publicly share any even high-level revenue amounts, or would you rather say prefer not to say?
I would prefer not to say.
That's absolutely fine. When it comes to some of the internal collaboration, what were some of the things that you learned in this process? Who did you work with internally to bring this to fruition?
Mm-hmm. So it was within the IT team who had designed this as a professional service. We're run by 3 partners, and one of the partners was a key in approving the money to invest and make this go forward. So working with him, so you can say with working with the CEO of the company. What I learned was just because you can build something really cool doesn't mean it's really a product, and that you're actually prepared to take it to market. We were not prepared to take it to market, and even what we thought at times people thought was really good, and there was a little of I'll call it defensiveness about it, where you kind of feel really proud. I built this. What do you mean you wouldn't buy it? And I had to get everyone to kind of put the product hat on. I remember one of our meetings one day, and the team was that we're ready, and I'm going, no, we're not. We used me as the barometer from previously when I was at Global as if I would buy it for them, then it was ready to go to market. But until I was ready to do that, I wasn't letting it go out the door. And the team thought it was ready, and I couldn't seem to, and I didn't, and I couldn't seem to get it through everybody's head that this is where we were what we were missing still. So we had some pretty heated conversations. I don't think everybody walked out of the room happy with each other after that. And I went home that weekend, and I said I need to figure out a different way to communicate where the gaps are and the plan. And I had a book, and I hadn't read it in a while. I used to be head of product development for another software company many years ago, and I pulled the book off the shelf, and it was about product strategy, and I reread the book, and I brought some ideas and concepts from there of how you evaluate your product compared to the market, the feature set, the roadmap, your supportability, and all those things. And I printed all these documents out and drew some things out specific to ours. I came in early. I had whiteboarded all this stuff up there. I brought the team back into the room, and I said, this is what I've been trying to say. This is where we're missing. We need to be able to fill in all these boxes and package those things up. And once they could see it very visually, and I could ask them to fill, okay, what about point number one related to our competition and how do we communicate the message? What about this set of features that we're not ready to support? Look at the gaps we still have so it wouldn't fit into our typical organization. What's our feature roadmap so that we can communicate to what it was that we had coming up that we needed to sell? And part of that was just the product roadmap and getting out. It wasn't that the product wasn't good, but we just had to, how did we support it? What if we get 100 customers tomorrow? Now what? Where do we go from here? How do we understand the pricing models and things along that way? So it wasn't the functions, it was all the rest of taking a product to market. And once they could see it on the board and very visual, there was the aha moment, and we filled all that, and we were able to successfully, shortly thereafter, probably a month or two after that, we had our first customer.
Outstanding. Actually, I wanted to ask you about what it means to be a marketer as a CIO, because as we've talked about for years now, oftentimes those disciplines, sometimes CIOs want to continue, like everybody, to learn how to do that effectively, and you're in the driver's seat when you're driving forward a new initiative like this. What did you learn about marketing internally and externally from this?
I think one was your communication skills are key to this, to be able to tell the story to the various different audiences. And depending on who that audience was, you had to tell the story a little differently. With the technical folks, you still had to stay in the weeds of the technology. That's what their sweet spot was, and getting them to understand it. With the CEO, it was understanding that if we do this, granted it's away from our core business, why this amount of investment is worth it, what we believe is the potential market opportunity, and being able to actually have some data behind that. So the communication skills were key in being able to do this, and that I had to switch hats a lot in order to have that right level of conversation with the different audiences, and even from a sales part for external, which is the part I hate. I'm not the go knock on the door sales guy. That's not what I do. So we leveraged our existing sales team. We actually leverage another external sales on a commission basis only, that we had a relationship and said, listen, you go knock on the doors, bring the leads in, and any lead you sell, we'll cut you a commission check. So we were using a variety of different channels to go out and do the sales side of it. And then myself or another member of my team actually had to then go out with those sales folks and be the subject matter expert to talk about how this actually works and functions in your organization. And being a professional services firm, we are all about billable time for our resources. So then thinking about taking these people out of their normal billable mode and going in and pitching a product and hoping that we're going to sell this product, and the revenue generated from that covers our costs and things related to supporting the product, makes us a nice margin, and has to take over the gap in billable revenue from what was our core business, was hard for everyone to accept. And it took some internal marketing, selling, and demonstration through data in order to convince everyone this was right, to get everyone to take that leap of faith that so it wasn't just a blind leap. We had data behind it, just like the platform is about data-driven insights. We had to have that data in order to drive the organization forward with this new opportunity.
Yeah, an absolutely fascinating story. I want to give it the time and attention it deserves, because it's really phenomenal effort. We know we have a half hour today. I was thinking one of two options, if you'd be open to it. One, we get another half hour on the schedule at a time next week that works for you, and just do part two. If you have a free block now and just want to keep rolling along, happy to do that, because I don't have a free. I would love to just continue talking with you, though, because I know you have covered everything.
I would love to talk to you again next week. Unfortunately, my schedule today crazy.
No, totally understand. But I can get started working on the draft, and I can start working on this part. And I'll send up an email for you. Just let me know when you're free next week.
Okay. Please go to audixinsights.com. I'll copy the website for you when I send you that with some availability for next week.
Great.
And you can get a lot more of the, hey, what does the product do, that you can see. There's even a couple case studies on there, one related to that restaurant, one related to the Houston Zoo and one of our acquisitions, and even a note that says we won the CIO 100. So you can see all that. You can see a bunch of pictures of the different panes of glass as well are up there. You can see different views that actually now have, wow, I didn't know we put that up. We've got little videos showing them. So anyway, my internal marketing's working.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you, Ken. Have a great weekend. I appreciate this part.
All right.
Take care.
You too. Thanks, Brad. Bye.